Morning everyone, welcome to our pre-match press conference to preview our game against Brentford this weekend. We'll start off with Vinny at Sky.
Hi Frank,
Hi.
How challenging a week are you facing really, starting with Brentford?
Yeah, it's the Premier League. Every game is tough. We travel, and then we had the derby. So travel with two difficult matches in the derby, but that's what we're here for.
You're doing this at a time when the transfer window is of course still open as well, so to go through the various situations that are facing you at the minute, we're told that Chelsea are willing to pay £60 million for Anthony Gordon. Has that bid come in? What is the situation as you see it?
No, it hasn't come in. He's our player and remains so. He's in the squad for tomorrow. He's a huge player for us. I said it last week. Not only is it a big value for the club, if you want to talk financially, but more importantly for me, a big value to the squad and the team. Remains the same.
£60 million though, the kind of money that
they haven't bid 60 million. So let's not talk about a number that's not there.
We're always going to put figures on him either. When you talk about importance, can you put a figure on his value to the club?
No.
How important then do you see him? And just
listen, I've been fortunate enough to work with fantastic young players in my time at Derby, in my time at Chelsea, seen them develop, see them now become England internationals, Champions League winners, worth maybe triple figures in terms of some of their personal values. And Anthony's in that bracket. And he's been a pleasure to work with, and he's ours. He's an Everton boy. He plays for us. The crowd relate to him. And it's all understandable that people will be interested in him because of the level of player he is. But the facts remain the same.
Obviously, Dele Alli has gone on loan to Besiktas. How do you feel about Dele completing that move?
I think it's the right thing. I think it hasn't worked out for Dele here for different reasons, and he can go there now, hopefully, play games, have success, help him personally, help us, and we'll review it through the year and obviously at the end of the season.
Does that mean there's still a chance that the door is open for him to come back?
Yeah, that's what the deal is, so we'll see how it goes.
What are you hoping for in the remaining days of this transfer window, Frank? Is it equally as important to move other players on as well as bringing players in before that deadline?
Yeah, possibly both. Every situation is individual and different. I know what view I have, or we know what view we have, and where we want to get to the squad. It's quite clear in certain areas of the pitch. We know that, and it's probably, we can look at the results we've had so far, and we know we could have maybe got more out of them, and we want to strengthen, and that's clear. So yeah, in terms of ins and outs, we're looking at it as most teams are. I think it's been a really active window, hasn't it? So that will continue to the end.
What can you tell us about potential deal for Neil Moté as well?
Nothing. I'm not going to get in on all potential deals.
Would it be just one striker coming in though, or would it be potentially more than one before that?
We'll see. We'll see how the attacking options. We are short on attacking options potentially, especially with the 5 subs that you can use now. We're going to see squads, I think, more full of players that are either starters or really good options to come on, and we want to look in that area.
Finally for me, Frank, I mean, there's the fact that the window is still open like this and you're still looking to do deals, how does it impact you day to day as well? Because obviously you've got to think about and concentrate on preparations for the games.
Well, it is what it is. This job is consuming in many ways, and we're very fortunate to have these jobs. I love doing what I do, so as much as it's there, you strive every day to improve the club and the team and the squad, and while the window's open, it's just part of your job. So I hope that the powers that be understand that this isn't the perfect way to do it. It's far too long into the season, there's no doubt. We want to look at the season with an idea, not of fairness is not the right word, but a balance to the season, that teams can construct a squad that can go from the start of the season to the end of the season. And now we're going to be, by the time the window shuts, we're now on 6 games in. It's a lot of games where, and it's not, for me, it doesn't feel right. I hope they get that right next time. Thanks.
Frank, let's look forward to this weekend's game then. First of all, team news, you're able to give some lads game time in the League Cup on Wednesday night. What's the team news going this season?
Well, Tom Davies, we hope, is in contention. He had a small feeling in his groin in the warm-up before Fleetwood, pulled out of that game, and hopefully he's in the squad. I'm just trying to think of Decore is injured. Dominic Calvert-Lewin will train next week. And other than that, we're pretty much where we were going into Fleetwood. And as you said, we've got some good minutes into some players that are either returning from injury or lacking fitness and game time. So that was a big bonus in the week. So on that front, then there was some positives out of midweek.
How far away is Dominic? If he's going to return to train next week, that must be a plus.
Yeah, it is. And I think he's slightly ahead of schedule. But we must be calm because we can't push him at this stage. He's working really hard, great focus, out on the grass. if he trains in the middle of next week, will it make him available for Liverpool? That'll be tough. But can we start to look at the games after that? Hopefully, if all goes according to plan, yes.
Anana got 90 minutes in the League Cup. How did you assess his performance?
Good. Felt his way into the game. Took a lot of kicks, which would be good for him. Feel the power and the physicality of what English football's all about. And I thought he really grew into it. It was only going to get better. He's a young player. We must have patience with him. Because he's a player for the now and the future, and he'll get a lot better. But I thought it was a really mature start for a player of his age, and it was great to see. And he needs fitness, just a base fitness, so that was a big plus.
What are your thoughts on Brentford? Because quite often in the Premier League we hear about this second season syndrome. They've started quite well this time around, though.
Yeah, they're just a good team, aren't they? They're just a really well coached, well drilled, well recruited club. Fantastic stadium, suits the club. Atmosphere. Watched the Manchester United game last week. It looked great. A real style in the way they play that they've been working on over years, and that's why you get this stability within the club and really good players. So yes, it's a real tough match for us. They've shown in their opening games what they're all about. It'll be very tough.
Have you noticed any significant change in their style without Christian Eriksen? Because obviously he had quite an impact on them last year.
Yes and no. I think they're a team that can sort of change styles in game or in phases of the season. I think they came up as a very strong footballing team from the Championship and the way they played. I think they altered their game when they first got into the Premier League, and I find that impressive. They've got different ways of winning games. So as I say, good players, and you can see that they've had a lot of time to work together. And I've got nothing but respect for the job that Thomas has done there. I think he's been great.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Mike, please.
Hi Frank. I know you'd like the results to be better, but you've brought in players that will strengthen the squad and have improved the team already. How satisfied are you with the progress so far, day-to-day, training-wise? And I know the results have maybe not been a reflection, but are you confident that that's coming soon?
Yeah, results are so key, aren't they? But yeah, I think anyone who watches us, well, I certainly suppose it's important what I feel, and I feel that there's a strength that we're gaining through the team from back to front, and the signings that have come in and have been here with time. I'm talking about James Tarkowski, I suppose Connor now, who's very quickly settled, have given us a real nice looking spine at the back of the team and leaders. Amadou hasn't really been able to yet because of fitness to get involved, and I think Dwight is filling his way in, so there are elements that will get a lot better, and I'm pleased with our performances. I'm pleased with the way the lads are training. I'm pleased with the spirit of the group. And the next thing is results for sure. And that's the frustrating thing about how this window has gone on and how we haven't been able to settle so quickly, because every team's in a different position. And we know that when we lose Richarlison, who's a big player for us, and we're trying to construct around it, that needs a little bit of time. It's really, really normal. Points would have really helped in those first 3 games, more points. But we are where we are. And we now just have to be really positive, work really hard. And I have a strong belief in the lads and in the team and in the way we're working that those results will come. Because if the performances are there and you keep working, then the results will fall for you.
Lack of firepower has been costly so far. I mean, it's plain to see. Nevertheless, I think 19 shots last week. There needs to be more composure in and around the penalty area and less anxiety. But how can you bring that about? It's easier to say and less easy to do.
Yeah, you have to work on it, and also it's personnel. That's clear. You're right, that lack of firepower is something we're well aware of, and it will be very difficult in this Premier League to win games, because even if you're in control of game, even if your stats say 19 shots, if you don't take those chances, it's very hard to keep control of a game for 90 minutes. And that's what happened against Forest. We were in good control. Only our individual mistakes would have given them a goal, and then they score, because as the game goes on, that's Premier League football. So we're working very hard to address that, and we have to.
How impressed were you by Lewis Warrington in midweek against Fleetwood? It's maybe not the best barometer for Premier League progress, but he was accomplished, wasn't he? Good on the ball, he wanted the ball. He's about as Everton as they come, and looks to have a bright future. How far away is he from maybe knocking on the door Premier League?
Well, he's knocking on the door, and it is a good barometer, because Fleetwood was a really tough game and he had to come on and influence it, and he did with his play, with his receiving and his passing. He's a really talented boy. He's an incredible attitude, incredible young professional who's desperate to play for Everton, and I love that. That oozes out of him every day in training. So I was really pleased to give him his full debut, and it's well deserved, and he's in the squad. And we'll see what happens as the next week or so goes on towards the end of the window, because with his development, what he did produce last year, it's very important that we keep his upward curve going. But whilst he's here, in the meantime, he's knocking on the door because of the way he's training and playing.
Thanks, Mike. We'll go to Alistair at BBC.
Hi Frank. Just in terms of Anthony Gordon, does it help or hinder you the fact that you're dealing with a club that you know so well?
Neither. Neutral. That doesn't affect it.
Yeah. So any past relationships don't come into it or anything?
No, nothing. And they've got new owners since I was there anyway. It's very different, but it's no, it doesn't have any difference.
And obviously, you talked about values there. But are you in a position where, obviously, you've mentioned or you've hinted that you want to bring in a striker? Have you got the money to be able to do that, regardless of what happens with Anthony Gordon?
Yes, yeah, I do. I mean, there's obviously things are relative. I'm not saying the number that we've got, but we know it's an area we want to improve, and we will improve it. We'll improve it in this window by the end of it.
So you're confident that happened, that there will be
yeah.
some increments? Okay.
Yeah.
And if that didn't happen, how would you feel at the end of the window if you didn't have a striker?
It will happen.
Okay, fine. And just on Dele.
And we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming back, as I say. So, but as I say, it's an area that we're well aware of. Then the last thing we wanted to do, is the last thing that we should do, is bring a player in on a whim or in a rush that's not going to improve the squad. Now and generally. And I think those are clear things that if there have been any mistakes previously, we don't want to make those. We want to work together, joined up, to make sure we make the right decisions for the club in the right areas, and it's really important that we do that.
So just to be clear, there will be another striker coming in, or are you referring to?
I don't need to go any more, Alice, than what I just said to you. We're gonna go again in attacking areas, yeah.
Fine, okay. And just lastly on Dele, I know you sort of alluded to the fact that it's obviously not worked out for him. You suggested maybe the training has not been up to what you require. Do you look at that signing now as a gamble, and do you also look at it as a gamble which didn't pay off? I think
there's a risk element to any signing, pretty much. Like majority of signings, unless you're talking about the top bracket of players, but there's always a relative risk. The reality of the Dele deal is that when I came, I think we had probably 2 days left of the transfer window. We clearly had a lot of injuries at the time, and we clearly needed some people in for the squad in midfield areas particularly. And so the opportunity to get Dele for one in the way that the deal was constructed was a very say cheap deal for us, but I think it's quite well known out there how the deal was constructed. So on that case, I think everybody involved was probably taking that calculated risk, and the fact that it's not come off to this point is just a reality of it. So I think the move to Turkey for him gives him an opportunity to go and show himself and work hard and perform in that league, and gives us an opportunity just to get our heads down and work now with what is a different looking squad to what I walked into in January. So those circumstances are coming in where the window was just shut and you needed a player, and now Dele's gone on loan. I think we almost remember as well that he had 45 minutes against Crystal Palace where he really affected a game that sort of defined our season in a way. So I think we shouldn't overanalyse it and let the boy just go and play his games out there.
Just sorry, one last one. Obviously Brentford thumped Man United the other week. You probably saw Leeds thumped Chelsea on Sunday. How would you assess how this season has started? Because there's quite a lot of random results. Is that anything to do with the transfer window still being open, the fact that we started early? How do you explain it?
Yeah, I think there'll always be contributing factors, and maybe the window is certainly one. It feels like it is one, and it affects different teams in different ways. Because when you're trying to strengthen and teams wanting to hold on to players, and there's all this sort of thing that should be going on for me, June and July, it should be, not when the games have started. So there's probably some factor there. And also we just have to look at the Premier League and the fact that even though Leeds have lost a couple of big players, they've invested and gone in a different direction, and Brentford, as I say, are stable and growing and can bring in players to improve the squad in different ways, and nobody can underestimate these teams. I don't think we should be so shocked. I think we should just appreciate the teams that get these results. Analysing the football sense wide, as everyone's talking about kilometres run, that's a little bit of a red herring. You run more kilometres when you're chasing the ball, that's a fact. So that sort of simple stat that I keep seeing being spoken about is a tiny bit of the truth, not all the truth. The reality is, I think the top teams like the Liverpools and the Cities and the Chelseas are there for a reason. They probably will rise to that point. But the fact that the teams like Brentford can produce those results is just the beauty of the Premier League. And just more than anything, I would say let's credit Brentford and Leeds for those results in that moment, and just appreciate the league that we've got.